Hello from Mickey and from me from Castle Goring. As the Jamaicans would say, today we are going to have a good labrish. I think the word labrish is a wonderfully flavourful word because it means more than a chinwag. It means something delicious, and so much has been happening that is rather entertaining and actually sometimes rather dubious. And all sorts of rumours are floating around, and there's all sorts of chatter behind the scenes about the ramifications of certain happenings in the last 24 hours that I thought I would just have to share them with you. And we're going to hopefully be entertained by the latest goings on. And if I may, before starting on the rather more momentous aspects of what we have to speak about today, let me start with something that is really rather puerile. A book called The Bench. A book called The Bench with, I don't know if any of you know what I'm speaking about, but it is a children's book that Harry's wife has written. And it's evidently rather well illustrated by one of California's top illustrators, which is, as one would expect, because we need to remember, I know those of you who do not like Harry's wife and don't want her to succeed, but she is clever and she is in bed, figuratively speaking, with some very good financial people. Oh, speaking about money, isn't it wonderful? There are now 2 vacancies for the position of husband when the position is vacated, and a leap needs to be made from present husband to billionaire husband. There's Jeff Bezos, and now there's Bill Gates. I wonder which one it will be. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a billionaire by his toe. If he hollers, definitely don't let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh. Oh, gosh, we do have to be a little bit mischievous sometimes, don't we? So, to go back to this great work of fiction called The Bench, a children's book. A children's book which is evidently, and I'm going to adjust the cushion because it's more comfortable with my back. Supported by the cushion, thank you. The book, according to the Amazon blurb, is with poetry by Meghan, and they give a 4-line, maybe 8-word taste of the poetry, which goes something like this. The boy is alive, alive is the boy. I mean, dire poetry, dire. If that is the best that they can come up with, and I can tell you, as a writer, that publishers go to great lengths to try to come up with good tasters. And if that's the best that they can come up with, it is dire. But I suppose some people will buy any label, no matter what the label is, no matter the quality of the label. So they're what I call designer junkies. So maybe the book will sell. I'm pretty sure that children are not going to find the book at all interesting or entertaining, because I've got news for everybody if they didn't know it. One of the hardest things to do is write for children. One of my dearest friends, he's dead now, Paul Ziadie, he was one of the leading publishers of the latter part of the 20th century. He had his own list, he was so eminent. And Paul used to write children's books, and he used to say it is the hardest thing to do. It's much easier to do what I do, because you are dealing with children have great imaginations. They have no real filter, and they have a nose for the truth that many adults lack. So you can dupe adults. It's not so easy to dupe children. And I would have thought that no child likes salad, and they're certainly not going to like word salad. But also, what I noticed, to wrap up this little bit about the bench, or maybe we should call it the belch, because I'm sure it's going to be as desirable as a belch around a dinner table. According to the blurb, Harry's wife has written this book inspired by the relationship between her husband and his son. Isn't that interesting? Because the drawings that I have seen of the father is in a military uniform, but Harry is not entitled to wear military uniform. So yet again, there's a little bit of a poke in the eye. There's also a little bit of what you're not entitled to, you're still going to claim. Pathetic, pathetic. So now we plunge into this. Congratulations are in order, because Harry's wife has won that part of the copyright claim against the Mail on Sunday, which needed to be adjudicated upon. And this is really interesting. And the bongo drums have been with all sorts of explanations and speculations as to what has gone on and why it went on. Because Jason Knauf finally, several months late, gave a statement confirming that he did not share the copyright with Harry's wife. Had he shared the copyright with Harry's wife? This, of course, is the infamous letter that she wrote to her father, and then it was leaked to People magazine via her 5 friends, none of whom has been identified. Don't misunderstand me. I have respect for anybody who has ability. Whether you are good or bad, if you are able, you are deserving of respect for your ability. You know, that doesn't mean that I admire them as a human being, or that I consider what they are doing desirable, or that I would wish to emulate it. But, you have to give credit where it's due. She is an ace operator, and she does know how to wangle her way, because let's not forget it. She's wangled her way up to really great heights with very little talent, but a lot of determination. And Jason Knauf's statement that came very late in the game is what is of real interest, because not only did it actually throw victory to Harry's wife, it also has opened up all sorts of questions as to what has gone on behind the scenes. First of all, why did Jason Knauf wait until the 99th hour to confirm something that he could have confirmed months ago? Secondly, Jason Knauf works for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And there is the belief in rather knowledgeable circles that Jason Knauf's statement was only delivered at the 99th hour because it was going to be a smoking gun, as the expression goes. It's not a literal expression. It's nothing to do with actual guns. It's just called a smoking gun for those of you who do not know that it's a figurative term and not an actual term. Really, as a warning to Harry's wife, that if she did not behave properly, they might throw her to the wolves. Well, she didn't behave properly, and they haven't thrown her to the wolves. And that's what's really interesting. Because my understanding is that the people at the Mail on Sunday and at Associated newspapers are spitting bricks. Well, I have crossed swords with Associated newspapers on many an occasion. There's very little difference, if you really want to know the truth, between Associated newspapers at its worst and Meghan Markle at her worst. At her best, there's a great deal of difference, because they, at their best, are actually occasionally, and it's very occasionally, rather splendid. Well, as we all know, she, at her best, is still Tackyville come to town, just dressed up very pretentiously. However, if ever there were two opponents who deserved each other, it is Associated newspapers and Meghan Markle, because both of them are a term that has been used recently to describe her and can describe both of them when they set out to be the splendiferous creatures that they are, the lowest form of pond life. Well, it's cost them a lot. She, of course, is going to be jubilant, and you can hardly blame her, because she has torn a strip off them and made a whole load of money for herself. Certainly she's cost them a very great deal of money. The reality is, though, they're still in profit. They are still in profit financially. The pity, of course, is that had they been a little bit more measured in the way they presented that story, they would have got away with it. But they suspended good judgment, went overboard, and they are paying the price. I actually, to an extent, have a degree of sympathy for them, because the cause for which they took up their cudgel is a good one. Because I can think of few things that are more odious than a daughter publicly setting out to destroy her father, even if he deserved it. And Thomas Markle does not deserve it. And I can say that because when I was growing up, my father used to encourage me to take a dose of rat poison and used to say that was the way to solve my problems. However, once my problems were sorted out, I had a choice, and we always have a choice in life. I could forgive, not forget, but forgive, understand what had happened, why it had happened, that yes, it was a terrible position for him to be in as well. He didn't want the embarrassment of having my situation cleared up in such a way that it would get into the newspapers, and he cared very greatly about having, I suppose, what you'd call his reputation unsullied by scandal. I understood it. It was a perfectly human thing that he did. It wasn't acceptable, it wasn't desirable, but it was understandable. How much less offensive has Thomas Markle's behaviour been? He tried to preserve his dignity and was set up by the press. And his daughter won't forgive him for that, notwithstanding the fact that he made so many sacrifices for her. I'm sorry. If that doesn't tell you why she is earning the title of the lowest form of pond life, I don't know what else does. We now move on to the other very interesting subject that has been entertaining people in the know. And I refer to the upcoming concert Zach's Live. Because there is all sorts of talk, and I would hope that none of it is true, and I would hope that Harry will deny what people are saying, because it does not reflect well upon him, that he and Meghan and Sunshine Sachs have set up the situation for his and her chairmanship to be not only apparent, but that it will be rewarded. And therefore it is not entirely altruistic, that it is actually, rather than being altruistic, it is, how shall we put this? It is marching, promoting themselves, or being promoted by Sunshine Sachs, who evidently are very adept at introducing clients. So one person washes the other person's back. and that, you know, Harry and Meghan are chairmen of this worthy cause, but that they are going to be rewarded. They are going to get their reward. It's just not going to be so clear-cut and immediate that it looks like the quid pro quo that it really is. Now, these are the sort of commercial dealings that the palace were very reluctant and to allow Meghan and Harry to undertake. And this is where they came to a parting of the way with the palace, because there is a certain way of going about things. It's not enough to be right. You have to be seen to be right. It's not enough to be clean. You have to smell clean. You have to look clean. You can't just cut deals that down the line you're going to get your reward. It's not the way things are done. At the moment in Britain, we have our former Prime Minister, David Cameron, who is smelling very Markellian because he came up with a series of rather dubious deals as well that have just unravelled, that were going to make him tens of millions. You know, one just shakes one's head and wonders, why can't people settle for less and be more? Why do they have to be less and seek more? And they think they're going to get away with it. Nobody's going to ever find out. People are fools, but people talk. Not everybody's a fool. Some people actually not only suss what's going on, some people don't approve of what's going on. So it has all been rather interesting in the last few days, because the concert hasn't even aired yet, and there's talk of quid pro quo with delay. My hand is going to scratch your back, and your hand is going to scratch mine. And I'm going to pretend that I'm wonderful and noble and caring and giving. But gimme. Just make sure it's down the line so nobody can say that I wasn't noble and wonderful and marvellous. But people talk, and they're talking. So I would hope that if there is no truth in these sort of delayed deals and back-scratching rewards, and what in certain circles would be regarded as a very dubious conduct, that Harry gets his people to deny the rumours, because otherwise they are going to simply get more and more traction, and they will ultimately poison the pond and damage the brand. But what I find interesting about all of this is how impervious Sunshine Sachs and the Sussexes are to any criticism at all, and how they have the American media batting on their side to such an extent that when a respected British journalist actually questions for CNN, on CNN, the fact that Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah was heavily embroidered with fiction, within a matter of hours, not only is the interview taken down, but all evidence of it is expunged. You know, it's very, very disconcerting to anybody who believes in a free press and believes that censorship is a very negative thing if it is used to suppress the truth and further a lie. To have CNN remove a truthful, accurate report from one of its leading journalists about an important issue and then act as if it didn't exist. I suppose this is called the latter-day version of burning books. So, to end this with one or two questions. One is from Jacqueline Wilson. Meghan's father drives an unsafe, clapped-out car, has health problems and lives without much money. Why on earth can't Has and Mags buy him a house and a safe car? I don't get it. Well, you don't get it, my dear, because you obviously are a decent person and you would do the decent thing. I get it. Because when I was writing my book, I was contacted by one of the most eminent aristocrats in this country, who is closely connected to Harry, and I'm not going to say how, etc., because I'm not giving anybody's identity away, to inform me. It's in my book, by the way. It's towards the end of the book. I've touched upon this before, but I think it's really important that we know what we're dealing with here. To inform me that the reason why his wife could not get in touch with her father ever again and have anything to do with him was because of the fact that he used to interfere with her. Now, I am not saying that Harry's wife or Harry actually said that. Let's make that clear for legal reasons. I am saying that I was rung up by somebody with no axe to grind on behalf of Harry, according to this person, with this cock and bull story. Now, this person, I do not think made it up, but they could have dreamt it. I mean, there could be 1,001 explanations for why Harry didn't say it and Meghan didn't tell him this, because obviously if what this person was telling me is true, and I had no reason to doubt that this person genuinely believed that they were conveying a message as a favour to the couple in question, if he believes it, it's obvious where it came from. And again, I qualify all of this for legal reasons by saying that he might never have said it. But if he did, and if he believed it, it had to have come from her. And again, I'm not saying she said it, especially for legal reasons. I'm not saying she said it. All I'm saying is what I was told. But if what this individual said even goes near to the truth of what this individual was truly told, I thought it was one of the most dreadful, actually evil statements that I have ever heard, especially as how only a matter of weeks before the wife met the husband, the wife was singing her father's praises and saying what a wonderful man he was. And since she had been doing this for many years and very publicly, if indeed the person who told me this did not make it up, and I have no reason to suspect or believe that this individual would have made it up. There was no reason to make it up. And there is a very decided link back to Harry. I know what I believe happened. And I have to say, I was absolutely appalled. So, you want to know the reason why she can't speak to her father again? And you want to know the reason why it's no way they're gonna be able to help the father out? Because it would be such a climb down for her. Not only would she have to reverse her position, but she would have to do it with a degree of grace and forgiveness. Ostensibly, because I don't for a second believe that her father ever interfered with her. I don't believe it for a second, because it's incompatible with everything she ever said up until the point that she dumped him. However, he's garrulous, he chats too much, and I think she didn't want him around blowing whistles on her tune. I think that's what that amounts to. So let's see if we can come up with a final question. Oh, this is something that has absolutely nothing to do with anything controversial, and let's go with it. JG, Lady C, do you ever miss the tropical climate and flora of Jamaica? While a native of a northern climate with 4 seasons, I've lived in southwest Florida for 20 years, but am bucking the tide of southward migration and am moving back up north. I wonder if I'll miss the tropics, so I'm curious about your experience. Well, my dear, let me put it this way. In Jamaica's glory days, which was when I was young, everybody was busy flooding to Jamaica for the whole of the winter. And I would go for a few weeks, and that was it. And people would say to me, gosh, I don't know how you can, why are you not living in Jamaica? It's so beautiful, it's so glorious, the weather's so fantastic. You have hot and cold running servants. And I used to say, thank you very much. All of that unnecessary sunshine and luxury I can do without. I want something rather more colourful and interesting. And I meant it. I would be very surprised if you were brought up in a climate that is changeable, that you will necessarily miss all that unnecessary sunshine. Now, admittedly, Florida can get a lot colder than Jamaica in winter. Having said that, I don't understand why people want every single day to be warm and sunny. I love when the weather is clement, and I love when it is inclement. I love snow, I love the rain, I like the sunshine, and today, for instance, we've had everything except snow. Bright sunshine this morning, then we had overcast and chilly, then we had more bright sunshine, then we had rain, then we had more sunshine. So I like that. I like the variety. It depends what you really want, you know. More than that, I will not say, except thank you very much for listening. Please keep the questions coming in the comments section. And if you have enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share, and press the notification bell. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.